There is power in silence, an unseen, unpredictable force that can shift the dynamics of any situation. When people expect a reaction, a flood of words, or immediate action, choosing silence can become your most potent weapon. Silence is not weakness. It is a well-calibrated strategy, one that leaves others guessing, unsettled, and questioning their assumptions. Confusing them with your silence is not about avoiding confrontation or running from challenges. It is about choosing when to speak, when to act, and more importantly, when to let the silence do the work for you. In a world obsessed with instant responses and constant engagement, silence creates discomfort. People are often uncomfortable with ambiguity, and the absence of a clear answer or reaction unsettles them. This discomfort can be to your advantage. When you refrain from speaking, people fill the void with their own assumptions, fears, and doubts. They overthink, analyze, and speculate, none of which you are responsible for. Every second you remain silent adds layers of mystery. Silence keeps your cards hidden and your intentions unclear, giving you the upper hand in situations where predictability is often exploited. In arguments, silence is a sign of strength. While others raise their voices to be heard, you demonstrate control by refusing to be pulled into unnecessary conflicts. Many people believe that victory lies in the last word, but that is not always the case. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. Silence acts like a mirror, forcing the other person to reflect on their words, actions, and behavior. They expect pushback or a defensive stance, but when it doesn't come, they are left facing themselves. Your silence becomes their echo, revealing more about them than about you. It sends a message that you are not controlled by emotion or provocation, that you operate on a different level altogether. In relationships, both personal and professional, silence can establish boundaries. Not every situation deserves a response, and not every opinion needs validation. When people cannot predict how you will react, they learn to respect your space. Silence signals self-respect. It says, "I do not owe you an explanation or reaction." It also cultivates patience and the ability to listen, both of which are rare in a noisy world. Listening carefully and responding thoughtfully, or sometimes not responding at all, conveys a deep sense of maturity. You are in control of your words and, by extension, in control of your life. Strategic silence can also be a tool for growth. It gives you time to reflect, observe, and plan. When others are rushing to make decisions or voice their opinions, silence offers you clarity. It allows you to step back, see the bigger picture, and act with precision when the time is right. Your silence buys you time to think, to heal, and to prepare. When you do speak or act, your words carry more weight because they come from a place of thoughtfulness. People will notice that when you talk, it matters, and when you act, it has impact. Your silence teaches them not to take your words or presence for granted. In competitive settings, silence is a game changer. Whether in business negotiations, sports, or personal rivalries, withholding information creates uncertainty. When people do not know your next move, they are forced to second-guess their strategies. They waste energy trying to anticipate your actions, while you stay calm, collected, and focused. This unpredictability keeps you a step ahead. Silence prevents others from mapping out your intentions, making it harder for them to counter you. You hold your power within, only revealing it when it serves your purpose, and not a moment before. Moreover, silence protects you from saying things you might regret. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. Many people speak impulsively in moments of anger or frustration, only to regret their words later. But silence safeguards your reputation. When you choose not to respond, you control the narrative. Others may assume, gossip, or speculate, but none of it sticks because you haven't confirmed or denied anything. In this way, silence is also a defense mechanism, a shield that guards your peace. Confusing people with your silence is not about playing mind games, but about mastering self-discipline. It is a conscious choice to rise above chaos and noise. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is an elevated form of it. Every silence carries meaning, whether it's deliberate or unintentional, long or short. You communicate with your presence, with your actions, and sometimes with your absence. The mystery of your silence creates intrigue, making people wonder what you are thinking, planning, or feeling. And in that wondering, they reveal more about themselves than they ever intended. In the end, silence is a tool of empowerment. It teaches you to be comfortable with yourself, to trust your instincts, and to value your peace above all else. It is a form of resistance in a world that demands constant participation and explanation. Silence allows you to operate on your own terms, unfazed by expectations or pressures. When used wisely, it becomes a form of liberation, a way to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with yourself. So, embrace the power of silence. Let others fill the gaps with their own thoughts and worries. Let them second-guess, overanalyze, and wonder. While they're caught up in confusion, you are conserving your energy, staying focused, and moving forward. The silence is your armor, your strategy, and your strength. Use it wisely, and you will see how quickly the world around you adjusts to your rhythm. You are not avoiding the game, you are mastering it by playing it differently. And in doing so, you remain in control, leaving everyone else guessing. The beauty of silence lies in its unpredictability. When you master it, you become an enigma, a force that people cannot read or categorize easily. This mystery is intimidating. People thrive on patterns and predictability. It makes them feel secure. But when you break away from those expectations and refuse to offer clear signals, it leaves others spinning. They search for meaning where there is none, and in doing so, they reveal their weaknesses. Silence, in essence, is a disruption. It makes people question themselves, their actions, and even their motives. At times, the silence may seem unbearable, not just for others, but for you as well. It takes incredible self-control to resist the urge to respond, explain, or defend yourself. But that discomfort is where growth happens. When you sit in your silence, you learn to trust that not every challenge requires a verbal answer. There is power in restraint. Words can be fleeting, but the effect of a well-timed silence can linger in someone's mind long after a conversation has ended. Silence is not just a pause, it is a deliberate choice, one that shapes how people perceive you and forces them to pay closer attention when you finally do speak. In today's hyper-connected world, silence feels counterintuitive. Social media, instant messaging, and constant notifications demand that we respond immediately. It creates an illusion that silence equals disengagement or indifference. But the truth is quite the opposite. Strategic silence is a form of deep engagement, one that operates on a higher plane. It shows that you are selective about where you invest your energy and who deserves your attention. This makes your presence a privilege, not something that is freely available to anyone at any time. And that shift in perception is incredibly powerful. The art of confusing people with your silence also lies in knowing when to break it. Silence is not about retreating into permanent isolation. It is about knowing when to act with precision. There are moments when silence needs to be shattered with a single word or action, and when it is, the impact can be profound. People listen differently when they've been waiting for your voice. They move cautiously when they've been unsure of your plans. And they respect actions that have been carefully thought through in the quiet moments. A well-placed word after a long silence can carry more weight than 1,000 conversations. This is not to say that silence is always easy to maintain. In emotionally charged situations, it can be tempting to break the quiet, to defend yourself, or to clear the air. But here's the truth. The people who matter will understand your silence, and those who don't were never listening to you to begin with. Silence filters out the unnecessary. It teaches you who truly values you and who is only interested in noise. It separates the genuine from the opportunistic. And in that clarity, you find peace. You are no longer burdened by the need to explain, justify, or prove anything to anyone. There will be times when people misinterpret your silence as arrogance, indifference, or even weakness. Let them. What they think is beyond your control. And trying to correct their perception only pulls you into a game you don't need to play. The ones who understand the strength behind your silence will know better. And those who don't, They were never meant to understand you in the first place. Their confusion is not your burden to carry. You are not responsible for how others react to your silence. You are only responsible for how you wield it. Ultimately, silence is not just a tactic. It is a way of being. It teaches you patience, humility, and the value of presence. It reminds you that you do not have to participate in every conversation, engage in every battle, or react to every provocation. Silence teaches you to choose your battles wisely, to speak only when it serves a purpose, and to act only when it aligns with your values. And in doing so, it gives you a freedom that few people ever experience, the freedom to be unbothered, unrushed, and fully in control of your own life. So, the next time someone expects a reaction, pause. The next time you feel compelled to explain yourself, hold back. Confuse them with your silence. Make them question everything they thought they knew about you. And while they scramble to figure you out, stay focused, stay calm, and stay true to yourself. Your silence is not a void, it is a space filled with intention, strength, and clarity. It is your superpower. Use it wisely and let the world adjust to your rhythm, not the other way around. In time, you'll realize that silence isn't just a tool, it becomes a state of mastery over yourself and your emotions. The ability to remain quiet in a moment when everything within you screams to react is the ultimate form of power. It is in these moments that you understand silence isn't passive. It's an active stance, a conscious refusal to let external forces control your inner peace. When you are no longer swayed by noise, distractions, or the opinions of others, you begin to operate on a level most people can't comprehend. You become untouchable. Not because you are louder or stronger, but because you've chosen not to play their game. Confusing them with your silence means you've stopped giving them the fuel they need to control you. Arguments fizzle when you don't engage. Rumors die when you don't respond. And people who seek your attention lose their grip when they realize you won't react on their terms. The beauty is your silence forces them to confront their own insecurities. They wanted your reaction not for clarity, but to validate themselves, something you refuse to provide. And as they grapple with that void, you become more powerful in their eyes, even though you've done nothing at all. There is a profound freedom in realizing you don't owe anyone your words. You no longer need to explain yourself to be understood or defend yourself to be respected. Your silence sends the message that you are at peace with who you are. That peace makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability makes you dangerous. People are used to controlling others through expectations, but your silence strips them of that control. They cannot anticipate your moves, so they become cautious, unsure whether to approach or retreat. They are forced to tread lightly because they never know what lies behind your quiet demeanor. The paradox of silence is that while it may confuse others, it gives you clarity. In the quiet moments, you learn to hear your own voice more clearly away from the chaos of opinions and demands. Silence allows you to reconnect with yourself, to align your actions with your values, and to operate from a place of purpose. This clarity gives you the ability to act with precision when the time comes. You no longer act out of impulse or pressure, but out of intention. Every word you eventually speak, every action you take, carries weight because it is rooted in thoughtfulness. In the long run, people will begin to respect your silence. They will see it not as a lack of response, but as a sign of wisdom. They will understand that when you speak, it is worth listening to, and when you are silent, it is worth waiting for. And even if they never fully understand you, their respect for you will grow. They will realize that you are not someone easily influenced or manipulated. You operate on your terms, guided by your own rhythm, unaffected by the noise of the world around you. You'll notice that as you embrace silence, your relationships will shift. Those who are only interested in surface-level engagement will fall away, unable to handle the depth that your silence demands. But the ones who remain, the ones who respect your quiet strength, will become invaluable. These are the people who don't need constant validation or noise to connect with you. They understand that presence and silence can coexist, that words are not the only way to communicate. These relationships built on trust, respect, and shared understanding become the most meaningful ones you'll ever have. Silence also becomes a sanctuary. In a world that never stops talking, silence is where you find refuge. It is where you recharge, reflect, and realign with your goals. It teaches you that peace is not found in external circumstances, but within yourself. When you learn to find comfort in your own silence, you become self-sufficient. You no longer rely on external validation or approval to feel whole. You are enough, just as you are, without having to prove it to anyone. Ultimately, confusing them with your silence is not just about others, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your power, mastering your emotions, and creating space for yourself in a world that demands constant engagement. It's about learning that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. It's about realizing that your value is not determined by how much you speak, but by how wisely you use your silence. So, carry your silence with confidence. Let it shield you when needed, empower you when required, and guide you when life becomes overwhelming. Remember that silence is not emptiness, it is potential waiting to unfold. And in that quiet space, you'll find the strength, clarity, and freedom to become the person you were always meant to be. While the world is left guessing, you will be moving forward calm, deliberate, and unstoppable. And that is the essence of true mastery, moving in silence while the world watches, wonders, and waits. Silence allows you to build without distraction, strategize without interference, and transform without warning. While others get caught up in the need to announce every plan, every step, and every intention, you operate in stealth. This ability to remain quiet while you progress is one of the greatest advantages you can cultivate. It shields your dreams from premature judgment, protects your goals from sabotage, and ensures that when you finally reveal what you've been working on, the impact is undeniable. The world is noisy, filled with people clamoring for attention, competing to be seen and heard. But those who understand the art of silence don't seek validation at every step. They don't need applause along the way, nor do they waste energy explaining their journey. They know that success speaks louder than any words ever could. Every move made in silence adds to the final picture, and when it all comes together, the result speaks for itself. There is no need to prove anything along the way, because when the time is right, everything you've built will be impossible to ignore. Choosing silence also keeps you unpredictable, which is a rare and valuable quality. When people cannot read your next move, they hesitate. In their uncertainty, they waste time and energy trying to figure you out. This gives you the space to act decisively when the moment presents itself. You become like a storm gathering on the horizon, silent, unseen, but inevitable. And by the time they realize what you've been doing all along, it's too late for them to prepare or react. Your silence becomes your shield, your cloak, and your advantage, keeping you ahead while others struggle to keep up. What makes silence even more powerful is that it cultivates patience. In a world driven by immediacy, the ability to wait without anxiety is a superpower. Silence teaches you to detach from the need for instant results and external approval. It allows you to trust the process, to build slowly and deliberately. This patience is what separates those who achieve lasting success from those who burn out trying to prove themselves too quickly. When you learn to embrace silence, you stop rushing and start growing. But silence is not only about strength, it is also about healing. In silence, you give yourself the space to process emotions, recover from setbacks, and gain clarity. Noise often distracts us from the deeper work of understanding ourselves. But when you sit with your silence, you begin to uncover truths that were buried beneath the surface. You confront your fears, your insecurities, and your doubts not with judgment, but with awareness. This self-awareness becomes the foundation for authentic growth, the kind that isn't built on external success, but on inner alignment. In a world that tells you to be loud to be heard, choosing silence becomes a radical act of self-care. It says, "I am enough, even when I am not seen." It teaches you that your worth isn't tied to how much you produce or how often you speak. Instead, it lies in the quality of your thoughts, the intention behind your actions, and the peace you carry within. When you live from this place of inner alignment, you realize that external noise no longer has power over you. You are free from the pressure to constantly prove yourself, free from the need to explain your every move, free to simply be. And when the time comes to break your silence, you do so with precision and purpose. Your words, now rare and meaningful, cut through the noise. They are not wasted on trivial matters, but reserved for what truly matters. And when you speak, people listen because they know that your silence wasn't emptiness, but preparation. Every quiet moment was a step forward, every pause a choice to grow. And when you finally reveal what you've been working on, it will leave an undeniable mark. So, continue confusing them with your silence. Let them wonder, speculate, and doubt, while you move in ways they cannot predict. Let them exhaust themselves trying to read you while you stay focused on your path. In the end, it is not your words that will define you, but the actions you take in silence. It is not the noise that will secure your place, but the quiet work you did when no one was watching. And when the world finally sees the fruits of your silent labor, they will realize that you were never lost, never idle, never weak. You were simply waiting patiently, powerfully until the moment was right. Because the strongest moves are made in silence, and the loudest victories are celebrated long after the noise has faded. Keep moving, keep building, and let the silence be your guide. While the rest of the world searches for meaning in the noise, you'll know that the real power has always been found in the quiet. As you walk this path of silent mastery, you'll notice something extraordinary. The more comfortable you become with your silence, the more the world bends to your rhythm. When others are frantic, rushing to be heard or validated, you remain steady. You no longer feel compelled to meet their pace or respond to their urgency. In this calm, deliberate state, you gain clarity. You can see things for what they truly are without the distortions of fear, distraction, or ego. You realize that silence not only confuses others, but also frees you from their expectations. The silence you carry is not emptiness, but full of intention. Every quiet moment is a choice, one that reflects your priorities, your values, and your self-respect. You learn that silence doesn't mean inaction. It is action taken on a deeper level. While others waste energy reacting impulsively, you conserve yours, storing it for when it matters most. Your power grows in the stillness, much like a seed buried underground, quiet, unseen, but slowly preparing for its inevitable bloom. There will be times when people misjudge your silence, interpreting it as weakness or disinterest. Some may try to provoke you, baiting you to speak or act on their terms. But you've come too far to fall into those traps. You understand now that their need for your reaction isn't about you, it's about them. It reflects their discomfort with uncertainty, their need for control, or their inability to sit with their own insecurities. And that is the beauty of silence. It forces people to confront parts of themselves they might rather ignore. They search for meaning in your silence, and in the process, reveal more about themselves than you ever could with words. This ability to hold back, to stay quiet even when provoked, transforms you into a force that is difficult to manipulate. You realize that not every insult requires a response, not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every battle is worth fighting. Your silence becomes your filter, allowing only what truly matters to enter your mind and heart. The rest passes by like noise in the background, unnoticed and irrelevant. And in this space of quiet discernment, you find freedom. You become untethered from the need to please, explain, or defend. Your silence says, "I am enough as I am," without your approval. The rewards of embracing this silence extend beyond your own personal growth. The people around you, those who value depth, respect boundaries, and appreciate authenticity, will begin to align with you. Your silence attracts what resonates with your energy and repels what does not. People who thrive on drama, gossip, and attention will drift away, unable to survive in the space your silence creates. But those who stay, the ones who respect your quiet strength, become your greatest allies. These are the relationships that don't need constant validation, where trust is built on presence, not performance. Over time, you'll find that silence becomes second nature. It no longer feels like something you have to maintain, but rather something that flows effortlessly from within. You stop needing to be understood by everyone because you've learned that the people meant for you will understand in ways words never could. You stop worrying about being misjudged because you know that those judgments are reflections of others, not of you. And you stop trying to explain yourself, trusting that your actions will speak louder than words ever could. In this mastery of silence, you also discover one of life's greatest truths. Real power is quiet. It doesn't announce itself or demand recognition. It moves unseen, gathering strength, and only reveals itself when the moment is right. When you move with this quiet power, you become unstoppable not because you overpower others, but because you are in complete control of yourself. And that is a power that cannot be taken from you. So, continue to confuse them with your silence. Let them wonder, speculate, and second guess. Let them spend their energy trying to figure out your next move while you remain calm, centered, and focused on your path. Use your silence not as a shield to hide behind, but as a tool to sharpen your mind, protect your peace, and align your actions with your purpose. And one day, when the time is right, you will break that silence not with noise, but with something far more powerful: action. The world will see that while they were caught up in the noise, you were building. While they were reacting, you were growing. And while they were distracted, you were preparing. And when you finally emerge, it won't be with explanations or justifications. It will be with results so undeniable, so impactful, that they won't need to hear a word. That is the final mastery of silence. Not just confusing them, but proving through your actions, your growth, and your presence that silence was never a void. It was the space where greatness was cultivated quietly and patiently until it was ready to be seen. And when that moment comes, the world will have no choice but to listen. And in that moment, when the world finally listens, you won't need to shout or demand attention. Your work, your presence, and your results will carry a gravity that speaks louder than any noise ever could. Those who doubted you, those who questioned your silence, will finally understand that it was not passivity, but preparation. Your journey, crafted in the quiet, will reveal itself with such precision that it leaves no room for doubt. There is an unmatched brilliance in showing the world what silence can achieve without ever compromising who you are. But even when you reach that pinnacle, you'll find that the lessons of silence stay with you. Success does not mean the noise will stop. In fact, it may increase. More people will want your time, your attention, and your energy. There will be new challenges and greater demands, but you will be ready. The silence you embraced on your journey will now become the armor that protects your peace amid success. You'll know how to navigate chaos without being consumed by it. You'll understand that not every invitation to engage deserves a response, and that preserving your energy is a form of power. In this phase, silence becomes your sanctuary. It is where you retreat to recalibrate, reflect, and ensure you remain aligned with your purpose. When others seek constant validation, you will return to the quiet moments that nurtured your growth. You'll be reminded that greatness is not found in applause, but in consistency, those silent, unglamorous steps you took when no one was watching. And even in your victories, you'll carry the wisdom of knowing that some of the most important progress happens in solitude. Silence also teaches you to recognize that life is not a race, but a rhythm. There will be moments of loud achievement and recognition, but they are temporary. The real essence of fulfillment lies in the ability to return to the quiet within yourself, no matter what the external world demands. This rhythm allows you to stay grounded and focused. You stop chasing approval, trends, or temporary highs because you understand that peace is found not in doing more, but in knowing when to pause. Your silence will also become a source of inspiration for others. People who once questioned or criticized your quiet demeanor will begin to notice the calm, strength you carry. They will see that in a world obsessed with noise, you chose a different path, and that path led to real, lasting fulfillment. Your actions will encourage others to embrace their own silence, to stop chasing after every opportunity, and to trust that what is meant for them will come in its time. And this is where the ultimate power of silence lies. It is not just a personal tool, but a gift you share with the world through example. Your ability to move quietly yet purposefully becomes a reminder to others that strength does not always need to announce itself. It shows them that in a world overwhelmed with distractions, there is courage in slowing down, in sitting with yourself, and in trusting the process. With this mastery, you no longer feel the need to control how others perceive you. Their opinions lose their hold because your silence has built something greater within self-awareness, confidence, and an unshakable sense of purpose. This freedom allows you to focus entirely on what truly matters, creating a life on your terms, not dictated by external expectations. So you continue on your journey, knowing that silence is both your compass and your sanctuary. You walk with the knowledge that you do not need to explain, compete, or conform to anyone else's timeline. The world may watch, speculate, and wonder, but it no longer concerns you. You are moving forward at your own pace, guided by the quiet power that others may never fully understand, and that is exactly how it should be. Because in the end, life is not about who speaks the loudest, but who listens the deepest. It's not about being constantly seen or heard, but about staying true to yourself, even when no one is watching. And when you live in alignment with that truth, every silence becomes meaningful, every step deliberate, and every result inevitable. So let them remain confused. Let the noise continue around you. And as it does, move silently, steadily, and without fear, knowing that your silence holds more power than words ever could. And when the time is right, you'll break that silence, not with explanation, but with impact so profound that the world will finally understand the wisdom in everything you never said. And from that point forward, you won't look back. You'll realize that the silence you cultivated was never just a temporary tactic. It became a way of life. It shaped you into someone who no longer reacts impulsively, but responds intentionally. Every decision will feel lighter because you've trained yourself to detach from unnecessary noise and distractions. You no longer feel the urge to prove anything to anyone because the only validation you need is your own. This quiet self-assurance transforms you from someone who once sought acknowledgement to someone who radiates unshakable confidence without needing recognition at all. And here's the most powerful thing. Silence becomes your default, even in success. There will be moments when people expect you to gloat, to show off your victories, or to flaunt what you've achieved, but you won't. Not because you're hiding, but because you understand that your worth has never been tied to how loudly you celebrate. You've learned that real success is personal. It's in the satisfaction of knowing you did the work, whether the world applauds you or not. The victories, no matter how grand, are yours to cherish quietly. They are milestones, not destinations. As you continue on your path, you will see how liberating this mindset becomes. When you master the art of moving in silence, failure no longer carries the same weight. Because your journey is private, you're free to stumble and rise again without the burden of public scrutiny. Every setback becomes just another step in your evolution, not a reason to give up or explain yourself. You begin to welcome challenges with open arms, knowing they are part of the process. You understand that success is not linear, and not every move you make has to be visible. Some of the most important work happens behind closed doors, far from the gaze of others. This quiet confidence will also change how you view competition. Instead of competing with others, you'll focus solely on improving yourself. The idea of comparing your journey to anyone else's will feel irrelevant because you know that your success is uniquely yours. No one else is walking the same path, facing the same challenges, or carrying the same dreams. You'll come to see that the only competition worth engaging in is the one between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. And in that battle, silence becomes your greatest ally. It allows you to grow without distraction and measure progress only by your own standards. But perhaps the most profound realization you'll come to is that silence connects you to something far greater than yourself. It creates space for intuition to guide you, for wisdom to emerge, and for gratitude to take root. In those quiet moments, you'll begin to understand the rhythm of life not as a race to be won, but as a dance of balance, patience, and purpose. You'll learn to trust the timing of your life, knowing that not every step needs to be rushed, nor every opportunity chased. What is meant for you will arrive when you are ready for it. And in the meantime, you'll continue building quietly one step at a time. And as you continue along this path, something remarkable will happen. People will begin to seek you out, not for your words, but for your presence. They will sense the calm within you, drawn to the peace that radiates from someone who no longer feels the need to speak just to be heard. You will become a person others come to not because you have all the answers, but because your silence provides the space for them to find their own. You will become the kind of presence that brings clarity not by telling people what to do, but by reminding them of the power they already carry within. In the end, you will understand that your silence was never about confusing others. It was always about finding yourself. It was about discovering that the most powerful voice you have is the one you listen to within. It was about mastering the art of knowing when to speak and when to be still, when to act and when to wait, when to push forward and when to let go. And in that mastery, you will find a freedom that no amount of noise can ever take away from you. So keep moving silently. Keep building, growing, and evolving without the need for fanfare. Let the noise around you continue, but don't let it distract you. You have learned the art of silent power and art that will carry you through every challenge and triumph with grace and precision. And as you walk this path, remember that true power doesn't shout, it whispers. And in those whispers lies a strength that the world will never fully understand. Let them wonder, let them speculate, let them remain confused. While they chase the fleeting noise, you'll be living a life of substance, built not on words, but on actions. A life where silence speaks volumes, and every step, no matter how quiet, brings you closer to the person you were always meant to become. And by the time they realize the depth of your transformation, it will be too late to catch up. They will see that while they were preoccupied with surface-level achievements, you were building something enduring brick by brick, quietly, without seeking permission or praise. Your journey will reveal itself as a masterpiece, not because it was put on display for everyone to witness in real time, but because it unfolded with intention, focus, and care. The power of your silence will be undeniable, not as a tool to hide, but as a deliberate act of creation. In the end, your silence will become a legacy. It will serve as a reminder that you don't need noise to make an impact. The people who matter will remember you not for how often you spoke, but for the precision of your actions and the integrity of your path. Your quiet victories will inspire others to rethink their need for validation and urgency. They will see that life is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about building something meaningful, even when no one is looking. And that is the kind of success that lasts. Through your silence, you will also discover a profound connection to inner peace. It will no longer matter whether people understand your choices because you understand yourself. The more you trust in your quiet progress, the more you realize that life is not about how loudly you announce your achievements, but about how deeply you experience them. Every accomplishment, whether small or large, will carry the weight of personal meaning, untouched by external noise. You will savor these moments in solitude, knowing they belong to you and no one else. There is a beauty in that kind of contentment, a contentment that comes from within, immune to the demands and judgments of the world. You will learn that the journey itself is the reward, and the process of becoming is more fulfilling than any end result. Each day spent working quietly toward your goals will feel like a victory in itself. And in those silent hours of growth, you will realize that the ultimate achievement is not in being noticed, but in becoming whole. When the world finally sees what you've built, they may applaud, congratulate, or even envy you. But by then, you will no longer be seeking their approval. You will smile quietly, knowing that their applause was never the goal. It was simply a byproduct of doing the work you were meant to do. The real prize is the person you've become in the process. Someone who knows the value of patience, the strength of discipline, and the peace that comes from trusting the timing of your life. Even as the world watches in awe, you will continue to move with quiet grace, knowing that life is a continuous journey. You'll embrace new challenges, set new goals, and embark on fresh paths, always carrying with you the lessons learned from your silence. And with each new chapter, you will refine the art of silent mastery, becoming even more attuned to what truly matters and less concerned with what does not. Ultimately, your silence will not just confuse others, it will inspire them. They will see that there is another way to live, a way that doesn't rely on noise, validation, or competition. You will show them by example that a life well lived is one rooted in purpose, guided by intention, and shaped by quiet, consistent effort. And that is a legacy far greater than any fleeting applause or temporary recognition. So, as you move forward, let silence remain your compass. Let it guide you through moments of uncertainty, protect your peace in times of chaos, and ground you in your truth when the noise becomes overwhelming. Trust that every step you take, no matter how small or quiet, is leading you towards something greater. And when the moment comes to speak, whether through words or actions, know that it will carry the weight of everything you built in the silence. Because in the end, silence was never about confusing others. It was about becoming unshakable, untethered, and undeniably you. And that, above all else, is the greatest power you will ever possess.